Tonight I am speaking to Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's welcome her now to Fox News.
Well, thank you, Brett.
Pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you, Brett. Yeah. The pleasure is neither of ours.
Well, thank you, Madam Vice President. Now, when I interviewed President Trump, my first question was, what do you think is the most important issue facing our nation? So my first question for you is, give me the exact number of murderers you let loose in this country.
Well, Brett, I'm glad you brought up the topic of immigration.
1 million, 2 million?
Okay. The first thing we did in office was to introduce a bill.
10 million? Give me a number.
Brett, we came up with a bipartisan
But
bill.
didn't have a number, though.
May I please finish?
I'm asking you to.
Well, then you have to listen.
Well, I can't because I'm talking.
Well, when will you stop?
And maybe when I go to bed?
Okay. Brett, look. I am the only candidate who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations. I brought down the Sinaloa cartel. I brought down the Guadalajara cartel. If I was in Breaking Bad, it would have ended in 3 episodes.
Madam Vice President, are you here to answer questions or just looking for a viral moment?
Oh, please, I am not looking for a viral moment. See how I don't let men interrupt my answers? Very demure, very mindful.
Okay, now you're just throwing out memes.
Look, that is not true. I am here to reach across the aisle. Hundreds of Republicans have endorsed me because in the club, we all fam.
Risky is it that you could lose the election?
Well, it is undeniable that it is something that everyone is aware of what is happening there. I speak publicly all the time about the fact that there are so many tragic stories coming from Gaza, and of course, the first in this phase of everything that has happened, the first most tragic story is October 7th. And what happened that day, and then what has happened since. And I think what's critically important as we look at this moment is, one, acknowledging the tragedy of what has happened in Gaza in terms of the extraordinary number of innocent Palestinians who have been killed, and taking that seriously and speaking truth about that. In addition, of course, to what I said about what happened on October 7th in terms of 1,200 innocent Israelis being slaughtered, women being horribly raped. And then fast forwarding to today with the killing of Sinwar, this creates an opening that I believe we must take full advantage of to dedicate ourselves to ending this war and bringing the hostages home.
But it's not working so far.
You know what? Listen, as it relates to the issues in the Middle East and in particular in that region, it has never been easy. But that doesn't mean we give up.
Pathway to citizenship for the
finish,
yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But we're talking over each other. I apologize.
Well, I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
I thought Kamala Harris did a magnificent job. First of all, I now hope Donald Trump will go on MSNBC and talk to Rachel Maddow, okay? Because that is very tough to do when you're on unfriendly territory. She went there. It was rude from the beginning. It was disrespectful from the beginning. He was talking over her. He was clearly not there to ask questions. He was trying to attack her on behalf of Donald Trump.
Back in 2011, President Obama decided against releasing photos of Osama bin Laden's body because their graphic nature, they worried, would incite further violence. There are graphic photos of Sinwar's corpse out there. I cannot show them on the broadcast. Alone, are you surprised that those photos are out there? What do you make of that?
First of all, thank you for not showing them. I was looking at them throughout the day as well. There's a couple of things to make of that. One is that unlike the decision that was made by President Obama back after the death of bin Laden, this is in an ongoing war. So that is different. That, you could say was maybe an ongoing war against Al Qaeda, but essentially that was a military raid that was carried out actually in Pakistan, not even in Afghanistan. Um, it was a lot more controlled. It was planned, it was designed, and there was also time to think. In this case, what happened is, in the midst of war, 3 militants were killed. A drone later, the next day, this actually all happened on October 16th. The next day, a drone came in and photographs. They said, "Wait a minute, is that who we think it is?" And only then did they try to excavate the body, which was very difficult because the building was in fact booby-trapped with a lot of explosives. Then IDF soldiers came in. Then the body was taken back for identification. All this is a lot less controllable. It's not a mission that you thought out what is going to be the outcome, how it's going to be. So I'm not surprised that there was not a lot of thought put in to controlling the spreading of images at that point. Another facet is the images were very likely disseminated by IDF soldiers on the ground. They were not disseminated by official channels. That also matters. The elite unit that carried out the raid on bin Laden's compound was made up of specially trained, highly professionalized soldiers, whereas here, the IDF has very trained and specialized soldiers, but this was not the most commando elite unit. This was actually a unit of trainee officers that is operating within the Gaza Strip. It's just a lot harder to control. I don't think that there was any decision to actually disseminate those pictures. I think it was much more done spur of the moment by some soldiers. That said, I'm not sure that if decisions were taken, that it wouldn't have been decided in the interest of sort of crushing Hamas morale and lifting Israeli morale, that the images wouldn't have been disseminated. While the comparison that you drew to the decision of Obama and bin Laden is true, we also remember images of Saddam Hussein, who, for no apparent reason, not only was he shown after he was arrested, he was shown having his teeth examined for no reason, right? You could have equally shown him having a mugshot behind bars, showing him having his teeth, his mouth pried open and his teeth being examined was a way to say, you, our arch enemy, we're going to publicly display you now. So different countries have decided different things on what to do with images of, their sort of arch nemesis. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong. I'm going to say I'm not sure a decision was actually made here to lead to this, but if a decision was made, I'm not sure it would have been different.
What does it mean that he's gone? What are you concerned about that Hamas will do in response?
The man who orchestrated and executed October 7 genocide is gone. But this is not the end of the war. As long as Ayatollah, the one who sent thousands of Iranian children to sweep minefields as a strategy, the same one who has sacrificed Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, and he's willing to sacrifice the entire world for his political ambition, as long as he's still alive, we are going to have a problem in the Middle East. Today is not a day to celebrate. And I saw the presidential nominee, Kamala, saying regarding that this is over. It's not over. She's trying to win the votes, and we are trying to win the war. It's the responsibility of every free person in the world to put an end for this Islamic Republic that has been funding Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis by the American taxpayer money. It's insanity.